There's a particular kind of person born with a deep instinct for mentoring. They exist as natural teachers, not in classrooms necessarily, but in the real world, in conversations with family and friends that somehow become consultations, in workplaces, even in casual discussions at coffee shops. They have the gift of introspective minds that see behind the layers of reality, the essence of every system. They are the deep intuitives, the INTJ, INFJ, INTP, and INFP in modern typology. And once you recognize this pattern, it reveals itself everywhere. Online, the intuitive blueprint is unmistakable. The YouTube videos on transformation that people return to, the Facebook posts that cut through noise to reveal deeper patterns, the Medium or Substack essays on existential crisis, the kind readers return to years later saying, "This changed everything." This intuitive blueprint appears throughout history. Socrates, mentoring through dialogue in the Athenian marketplace. Kierkegaard, writing to guide readers through existential despair. Throughout the centuries, these minds have shaped how others think and see. But we can't explore this properly without discussing Carl Jung, the mentor who didn't just guide individuals in private consultations, but gave us an entire framework for understanding how these minds actually work. Today, we're exploring the 4 capacities that make this instinct so natural to deep intuitives, the one element that transforms these capacities from potential into mastery, the shadow side that can trap you, and how to express this gift consciously. Let's begin. So what makes deep intuitives natural mentors? It's not one thing. It's a constellation of capacities that together create this almost involuntary drive to illuminate, guide, and scaffold growth in others. And I'll mention now the 4 main capacities related to this gift. First, deep intuitives see structures, not just situations. When someone describes a problem, you're not just hearing their story, you're mapping the architecture beneath it. An INTJ listens to career frustration and sees the entire system someone's trapped in. Not just bad job, but a fundamental misalignment between their values and capacities and the structure they're operating within. An INTP hears a relationship conflict and immediately maps the logical inconsistencies, not the surface arguments, but the contradictory premises both people are operating from without realizing it. You see patterns, recurring themes. The way someone's current struggle echoes a deeper structure they've been navigating their whole life. And this isn't analysis for analysis's sake, it's that you can't not see it. Second, deep intuitives perceive potential. They aren't fooled by someone's current situation or present struggles. They see what could emerge if the right conditions align, if the right question is asked, if the right shift happens. It's almost like seeing through time, perceiving not just who someone is in this moment, but who they're capable of becoming. And here's what makes this specifically mentoring rather than just observation. They intuitively understand the bridge between here and there. They sense what question might unlock something, what reframe could shift perspective, what permission needs to be given. This is the intuitive function at work, whether it's the introverted intuition of INTJs and INFJs that perceives hidden patterns and future implications, or the extroverted intuition of INTPs and INFPs that sees multiple possibilities and connections others miss. But it's not magic, it's pattern recognition operating at extraordinary speed, fueled by deep introspection. Third, deep intuitives are deeply empathic. Now, it's easy to understand how deep feelers, INFJs and INFPs, are naturally empathic through their feeling functions. An INFJ senses the undertow beneath someone's words, the fear masquerading as anger, the grief hiding behind busyness, the vulnerability someone can't yet admit to themselves. You don't analyze emotions, you resonate with them. An INFP perceives the identity crisis concealed within practical questions. When someone asks, "What should I do?" you hear the real question, "Who am I allowed to be?" But here's what people miss. Deep thinkers, INTJs and INTPs possess empathy too, it just operates differently. You empathize with logic, with systems, with the internal consistency someone is trying to build. An INTJ feels the frustration of wasted potential of a brilliant person operating in a broken system. An INTP empathizes with someone trapped in faulty reasoning, genuinely wanting to help them think more clearly because you feel the constraint of confused thinking. All of this is empathy, just different frequencies. And it doesn't stop here. Later in life, as INTJs and INTPs do their own psychological work, integrating their tertiary and inferior feeling functions, this empathy deepens. The emotional resonance that felt foreign becomes more accessible. You don't lose the logical empathy, you gain emotional range alongside it. Fourth, deep intuitives translate complexity into clarity. You take tangled, overwhelming concepts and make them comprehensible. This is why people come back to your content, your conversations, your frameworks. You find the through line, you build the map, you offer the metaphor that suddenly makes everything click. You don't dumb things down, you find the elegant structure within complexity and make it visible. All of these capacities together create the mentor instinct, not one trait, but a way of perceiving that naturally scaffolds others' growth. But there's one element that potentializes all four of these capacities. This is where it gets interesting. Stay with me. There's something important to understand here. For integrated deep intuitives, this mentor instinct doesn't come from needing to feel superior, though it might appear that way from the outside. At its core, it arises from something deeper. These four capacities are genuinely instinctive. Deep intuitives can't turn them off. But unexamined, the instinct can become tangled with ego needs, which is why shadow work matters, which I'll mention later in this video. Now let's talk about the one essential thing that intensifies these four capacities and takes them to another dimension of maturity, and it's not innate, it's earned. It's lived experience. Here's what makes deep intuitives different. They don't just live through experiences the way others do. They extract the architecture from them. When a deep intuitive goes through a process, creating a body of work, navigating a crisis, mastering a craft, understanding a complex system, they don't just experience it, they map it. They see the structure, identify the critical points, understand the framework, and once they succeed, they can mentor others through that same territory with clarity. They offer step-by-step guidance because they've reverse-engineered the blueprint. They create frameworks because they've seen the pattern. An INTJ who builds a successful system doesn't just have a success story. They've extracted the framework that made it work and can teach that system. An INFJ who guides someone through transformation doesn't just offer empathy. They've mapped the emotional architecture of change and know exactly which questions unlock which doors. An INFP who navigates an identity crisis doesn't just survive it. They understand the stages of that journey and can guide others through them. An INTP who masters a complex skill doesn't just perform it. They've decoded the logic and can create a learning framework. Carl Jung gives us perhaps the clearest example. During his psychological crisis from 1913 to 1917, he didn't just suffer through it. He engaged with it, documented it, understood its structure, and when he emerged, he had systematized what he learned into frameworks others could use: active imagination, shadow work, psychological types. He turned his lived experience into teachable blueprints. But this applies to any field. A writer who struggled with their craft knows exactly where beginners get stuck. A political analyst who's lived through ideological shifts recognizes patterns others miss. A sports coach who's competed understands the pressure points and breakthrough moments. The formula is simple: natural pattern recognition, plus lived experience, plus extracting frameworks from that experience equals grounded, effective mentoring. This is what matures the gift. Not just having insights, but having walked the path and understood its architecture well enough to guide others through it. But we need to talk about the cost of this gift, because the mentor instinct, unexamined, can become a trap. The first cost is the loss of boundaries. Sometimes you see someone struggle so clearly that you become more invested in their transformation than they are. You keep offering insights to someone who isn't ready to receive them. You keep trying to illuminate what they're not ready to see. And somewhere in that process, you've mistaken your clarity for your responsibility. Just because you can see the pattern doesn't mean you're obligated to fix it. Just because you understand the structure doesn't mean you must intervene. The second cost is harder to see. Sometimes mentoring becomes a sophisticated way to avoid your own unfinished work. It's easier to illuminate everyone else's path than to face the uncertain territory in your own journey. Easier to analyze someone else's shadow than to confront your own. Easier to offer frameworks for their transformation than to do the messy, uncomfortable work of your own integration. And here's where Jung offers us a crucial diagnostic tool. He said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." So when you find yourself compelled to mentor someone, when you feel that urgency to correct, to guide, to illuminate, ask yourself this: am I offering this from irritation or from integration? Am I projecting my unfinished work onto them? Or am I genuinely speaking from lived experience I've already integrated? If you feel irritated by someone's inefficiency, their confusion, their resistance, that irritation might be pointing to something unresolved in you. The mentor instinct in that moment isn't wisdom. It's your shadow demanding attention. But if you've already walked through that territory, integrated that lesson, and emerged with clarity, then your mentoring comes from a different place. Not projection, not avoidance, but genuine lived experience offered without attachment to whether they take it. This is the discernment work, knowing when your mentor instinct is serving them and when it's serving your own unexamined needs. The mentor instinct is a gift, but without boundaries, without self-awareness, without doing your own work first, it becomes exhausting. You lose yourself in everyone else's becoming. So the question becomes, how do we work with the shadow side? And how do we develop this instinct into a conscious skill? Here are some practical starting points. First, the discernment practice. When you feel that urgency to mentor someone, pause and ask yourself, is this coming from irritation or integration? If you feel annoyed by their confusion, frustrated by their inefficiency, irritated by their resistance, that's a signal. Your shadow is speaking, not your wisdom. The work in that moment isn't to mentor them, it's to examine what's unfinished in you. But if you've already integrated that lesson, if you're offering from lived experience without attachment to whether they take it, then you're mentoring from a grounded place. Second, practice distinguishing seeing from carrying. You can see someone's pattern without being responsible for changing it. You can recognize their potential without being obligated to actualize it for them. Try saying internally, "I see this clearly, and it's not mine to fix." This simple practice protects your energy and respects their autonomy. Now for skill development. Before you offer insight, practice asking permission. Would it be helpful if I shared what I'm noticing? Or are you looking for perspective? Or do you just need to be heard? This transforms mentoring from projection into service. And honestly, it saves you from exhausting yourself on people who aren't ready. Finally, deliberately extract frameworks from your experiences. When you go through something difficult or learn something valuable, don't just move on. Pause and map it. What were the critical points? What was the structure? What would someone need to know to navigate this territory? Turn your lived experience into teachable blueprints. This is how you develop mentoring as a conscious craft, not just an instinct. These practices, both the shadow work and the skill development, are starting points. There's much more depth to explore in each one, and I'll tell you before the end of this video where to find it. Before we close, here is what you need to remember. This mentor instinct is not going anywhere. It is how you are wired. You will always see structures, perceive potential, feel deeply, translate complexity. And with lived experience, this gift only intensifies. But the quality of your mentoring depends on whether you have done your own work, whether you mentor from projection or integration, whether you have extracted frameworks from your own journey, or you are still trying to figure out your own path. You are both the mentor and the one being mentored, both the guide and the traveler, and that is exactly as it should be. If this resonated with you, leave the word wisdom in the comments. It helps me understand who is connecting with this content. And if you want to go deeper into both the shadow work and the skill development practices we touched on today, I have written a comprehensive essay that explores what we could not cover here. You will find it on my Substack. Link is in the description. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because this is where we explore the inner architecture of deep, intuitive minds. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care, rare souls.